Hello everyone, my name is Ronak and you're watching VectoArt. So in today's video, we will take a look on how to create a weather API or a weather app using WinUI, Uno platform and WPF. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here I have my app running, which I've already created, but I will create a new app where I will walk you through a step-by-step process on how to create such an app. So here you can see if I change the city and click on enter, here you can see it fetches the data of the weather in real time. So let me close this project and close this application which I have created, and let's start by creating a new project in Uno. So let's start first by creating a new project. Select Uno platform app from the recent templates. If you do not have it, please search here. And if you don't have Uno platform, please check out my previous video where I have explained how to install Uno platform in Visual Studio. So moving ahead, let's give this project a name and click on create. So we this template wizard will be launched. You can either select from a blank or you can select the default. I will go with the default, but I will still customize it because I do not want all the components. So on the framework, I need .NET 8.0. Platform would be just Windows. So I'll remove all of this and WPF is required. So next is the presentation. So MVUX is fine. Markup would be XAML. Themes is Fluent theme, and I am going to have the theme services. Extensions, I'll not change all of these. Let's leave it as is. Um, and then features, I want the toolkit. I do not want the server project or Visual Studio Code and centralized manage package. So next one is authentication. Let's keep it none. Application, no changes to this. Testing modules, I do not want them, and CI pipeline is null. So let's click on create and let's wait for the project to load. While it is loading, you all know that WinUI does not have a designer yet, and you cannot design projects on your the screens or the window using tools. So you'll have to write XAML code, and that will help you in designing a project. But there are other alternate methods. For example, in Avalonia, you have a designer, but for me in this project I won't be having a designer. So what I have done is I have created a simple .NET WPF .NET framework project which has a designer. This is the old WPF, and here I have used this designer to create my application. So here you can see I have a grid, and I've given this grid a width and height, and then I've also set the background, and then I have a rectangle which is filled with an image source, which is a location image source. I do not have the images here, so it is not visible right now, so I can also do that if you want. Then I have a text block, and then I have this text box would be for entering the city information or the location, and then I have a button which will trigger the weather API. Then I have a text block that will show the local time of that location. Then I have a rectangle which will be filled with an image of the weather status. For example, if it is partly cloudy or if it's sunny, then the same similar images will be displayed here. Then I have a big text box that will show the temperature, and then I have smaller uh, rectangles here that will be filled with the wind situation or humidity, precipitation, and so on, and the values for that. So this is a simple UI that I have here, and once I have when I have done designing it, I have got this XAML which I had copied and pasted it on my UI. So let me do the same here. So let me copy this and paste it in my newly created Uno platform WinUI project. So let me copy this. Here I have my Uno platform WinUI project loaded. So here you can see all the dependencies are updated and loaded. And here I have my main page where I will be pasting the code that I have. So let me paste it over here. And this is the UI that I created on my WPF project. There might be some changes needed, so let me copy this project name and go back to my application here WinUI, and instead of transition I will need to paste the weather app, because this is the location where the images will be present. So let me paste this, and once that is done, I think I need to also have this icons in my asset folder. So let me open up this, and under icons let me add the icons that I've downloaded from icons8.com. So for those who do not know what icons8 is, let me select these first. And there are some weather icons that I downloaded here. So let me select all of these, and yeah, and click on add. So though for those who do not know what icons 8 is, so icons 8 is a website where I download most of my icons. So from here I have downloaded these weather icons for showing the status of the weather. So moving ahead, so I have downloaded all my icons and all the code designer is ready. So let me now run the application and see if there are any errors. Okay, so I had an error here. So that would be because I do not have a main page does not contain a button submit dot click. So I need to find that. And here I have this click event. So I will just cut this for now and run my application, because I've So while the application is loading, I will take you to the weather API that I have used. So this is called weather API, which provides a free API for you to get the real-time weather data for the locations that you enter. So what I did is I created my account here, and then you can go to the API Explorer and you can provide your API key, and then if you type a sample location like London, and if you click on the show response, let me do that. I have already added my API key. I have not shown you that, but I will click on show response now. Location details, the current temperature, wind condition, if it is sunny, if what is the pressure, what is the humidity, and what it feels like, and so on. So you get all the information here. So you can use this API to get the weather details. So if you go to the documentation here, and if you see how we can use this, so here so this is how you will have to call your API. And to generate the code that you need to call this API, we can you make use of ChatGPT. So let's go to ChatGPT and type in this prompt: simple C sharp weather. And ChatGPT will give you this simple code which we can use to create our weather app. Of course, we will need to make some changes according to our needs. So here you can see ChatGPT has given me this console application which takes an API key, the city information, and the URL, and then it calls this get weather API using that URL. And here we have an async task called get weather data, which will be called using the API URL. And here, if you see, it connects to that API and gets the information, gets the response from that API here, and then it checks whether it is a success status code or not. If it is success, then it reads the data, and once it is read, it is doing the small check for us. It is parsing the temperature data, so it calls this parse temperature data function here over here, and it passes the JSON data, and this JSON data is sorted, or you can say we are get finding the temperature string from this JSON data and using the start and end index, and then getting the temperature data, and then finally converting it into double and passing it back to the main, where it is displayed in front of the city information. So this code I have copied, and let me paste it in our application. Okay, so here you can see we have our window, the data that we copied, and this is what the design is. So we still do not have the information for the temperature and stuff like that, so that is not loaded yet. So let's work on the code behind. So let me go to the code behind of this, and let me paste in the data that I have here. We will of course need to make some changes, but the underlying code will be the same. So let me do one thing. I already have the code with me in my Medium blog. So let me copy that instead, and here I have the data. So let me copy this instead, and go to Visual Studio, and here inside this main class, we have our main page which calls this main async task. So here we have an API key which is blank for now, so you will have to generate your API key and insert it over here. Then you have the city which comes from the text box that we have here on the screen over here. Then we have the API URL which we got from the weather API. So this is the API URL, and it expects an API key from here and the city from the text box city. Then we have the weather get weather call to the get weather function over here, which connects to the API, checks if the response is a success, and if the response is success, it reads the response and writes it to this data. So now this data has the response, which will look something like this. So this is our response, and if you go back, what we do with the response is the next step. So first we fetch the temperature from the response. So to get the temperature, we call this parse value function and pass the JSON data along with the parameter or the attribute name. So this I have received or found out by going to the response body, a sample response body. So here you can see we can get the temperature in Celsius. So I have copied this and pasted it over here as an argument to my parse value function. which is below here. So it expects the JSON data and the field. So using this field information, we say get the start index of the field and end index of the field. And then using the substring, we get the data of the desired field. So for example, if it is temperature, we try to fetch the temperature value from here. And if it is, say, humidity, we pass humidity and then we get the value 71. So likewise, we call several other attributes of the weather from the weather API, like temperature. And I have also added this math.round to get a single value. If you want to show a double value, that's up to you. Then we also add this degree symbol here to the text that we display. And then next, let me add a break over here. Then we fetch the precipitation. So we pass in the argument and the JSON data, and then we get the precipitation. Next, we work on the wind, and we pass the parameter as wind mph, which we again got from this API response over here. This is the sample response. And here you will see wind mph. You can also show it in kilometers per hour. So, and then you add the suffix and then display it in the text wind. Then finally the humidity, and also you take the date or the local time from the response. So if you go to the response here, you also have the local time of the city or the country. So I have taken that local time, and then just fetch the time from that local time, from the date time. Also, based on the text, for example, here if you see the response, we have the condition of the weather. So here in the text it says if it is sunny or if it is partly cloudy or if it is rainy. So you get such a information over here. So what I've done is I am just checking if the JSON data contains text like sunny or clear. If it is sunny, then I change the weather icon, which is over here. Um, Let me run this application so that you can better understand what the images are. So here you can see that I'm talking about this image over here. So the weather icon I am changing based on if it is sunny. If it is sunny, I am changing it to sunny icon. If it is raining, then a light rain icon, and partly cloudy. All these icons that I downloaded from icons 8, I am loading it over here based on the condition or the text that I see in the response. Then I am also changing the grid color, and also I am changing the panel color of the rectangle that is below, which shows the humidity and so on. So based on that condition of the weather, I am changing these values. And if it is if there is no other value, then I am just defaulting it to light clouds and color of light blue, and the rectangle panel is white. So all this is done. So let me run this application again, and let's see what our UI looks like. So let me run this application. For some reason the icon does not show up, so let me check what issue we have here. Okay, so the reason is that I have still not changed this code over here. So let me go back and copy this and change this to weather app instead of transition. And I think this should solve our problem. So here you can see we have the icon over here and the uh, temperature and the rest of the details. But let me change this to So the button does not work, and I know why. So let me go back here, and if you remember, I had removed the click event. So let me add this and change it back to button submit. And under the button submit, what I am doing is I'm just calling this main function. And now if I run the application, so now let me change this to say New York and click on this button. So here you can see it's clear in New York, and it's 4 degrees and the time is 11:45. And if I say Texas, so it's 9 degrees and 10:45 in Texas, and the wind is 15 miles per second, and humidity is 80. And if I go to say Russia, so it's minus 4 degrees and it is light snow. So hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and do subscribe to my channel. And if you are interested in this code, please check out the description. I have a link to GitHub where you can download this code. So till then, bye bye.